Alright, this is phase 2. First we're going to buff this on the wheel here. These wheels are actually the same. They're I think linen type, and they're pretty tough. They're pretty hard. I find that if I use the floppy ones, it wants to catch on the surface, and you don't really get that much better finish on it when you're polishing it, when it comes to polishing it. So I think you're taking a lot of chances of getting hooked up with the piece and it flinging out of your hand. So I've just learned that from experience. The one thing we want to do is I've got these wheel cleaners. We want to keep the wheel clean. What happens is metal transfers to this buffing wheel. You know, there's a lot of guys out there that buff, and they've got great websites. That's all they do is they buff. However, I found kind of when I'm doing aluminum, it seems like it's a little bit different, kind of a specialized thing. Not only that, but the alloys of aluminum that I use doesn't equate to what everybody is teaching you there for buffing. So you get one of these imported tanks and they'll buff them. In fact, they won't even sand them like what we just went through. That's where you get that really perfectly smooth surface on them. And contrary to popular belief, aluminum, when it's buffed, does not show the dents and anomalies in the surface. That will actually hide a lot of the anomalies in the surface. In fact, back in the old cafe racer days, they buffed their tanks because they weren't perfect. You want to see every little nook and cranny, every little problem with the tank. Put paint on it once. Put shiny paint. Put black on it. That'll really show everything up. So we're going to do this, and we're going to go through 2 stages. First, we're going to buff, and then we're going to polish. And we're going to be using 2 different rouges for that. I call these rouges, even though they're not typically rouges. This is called Triple E polish, and this gives it its first base buff. This is a buffing compound. And then we're going to go to white, and white is a polishing compound. This is a very fine abrasive grit in this. These aren't probably the best ones I've ever used. I have to work at it a little bit more, but it's kind of a crapshoot sometimes when you buy these. They're a little different sometimes. So we're going to get right to it. Let me get finished dressing up here. We're going to clean the wheels. And what we're trying to do is embed into a clean wheel. We're trying to embed some of that compound. We're going to go with a medium pressure on here. It's real tempting to go with a high pressure on it, but when it heats the metal up so much like that, you can't hold on to the seat anymore. So we're going to go kind of moderate on it. It doesn't seem to do much more good anyway. It might seem to at first do a better job, but as you go, the heat builds the aluminum that's transferring from the seat or from your piece to the wheel. And you get a buildup of aluminum. I don't know if you can see the shine here. Almost looks like graphite, like a graphite pencil lead right here. So here we go. Oh, and this is a filthy job, so dress well. going to work our way from the bottom to the top, and then we can work it the opposite way down when we polish it. One other important thing, hit all the hard spots first. Hit all the hard spots, the corners and the things that are the hardest to reach and to get to. Also, keep your part, the surface of the metal, you're parallel to the surface of the wheel, or perpendicular to the wheel itself. Whenever you can, hold the part close to your body. Brace it on a third or second level by holding it against your belt or whatever. Whenever you get that glaze going on your wheels, that's the aluminum. Okay, we're going to clean this off. Probably hit this without putting more compound on it. I'm just going to touch it. Here we go. This is the money shot. All right, here's step one. I don't know if you can see this or not. I'm going to kind of twirl this around until you can see some of these spots. You can see the marks that the wheel left in here. Some guys go, hey, that's good enough, you know. And you have to kind of spin it around and really look for that stuff to recognize it. But this is where the finer polishing compound comes in on this. We're going to do something right now. I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to wipe this down with acetone to get rid of the residue. There's some hard spots that formed on here, and they're going to get in the wheel. What these will do is no major damage done, but if you leave this on here and you're polishing it with the other compound, this is an area that it's not going to get to. It's not going to pull this stuff off and automatically buff underneath it or polish underneath it. So we got to remove those with acetone. That was just a real quickie sort of thing that I did to it in the first place. It started to get hot and hard to hold. Small pieces are pretty typically like that, especially when they're thin parts. Don't forget that the wheel, the surface of the wheel, is also getting hot, transferring that heat into the surface of the wheel. So we got to be cognizant of that. So I'm going to go wipe this down, come back, and we're going to use the white polishing compound on here. And another thing, when you use the finer polishing compound on aluminum especially, the metal becomes whiter. It's darker right now. If you look at this metal, you could probably compare the photographs from where it is right now to when we polish it. I'm sorry. We're going to polish this up, and you'll see that the metal actually gets lighter, gets whiter. Chrome is sort of like this, where it's a little darker, but aluminum has its own brilliance to it. It becomes whiter when it's polished up. So I'll be right back. All right, so we're going to clean this wheel up. And we'll start applying the white. this smooth surface, smooth polished surface, is impossible to create unless you sand it, unless you go through those steps that we went through. So this is how we do everything. When you buff something and polish it, this is going to show every little anomaly. In fact, even the little squirrel marks that are in here right now wouldn't show up if you just buffed it without the polish thing, because the surface is not so mirror-like or perfect on it. So you won't pick those things up. But we're going to wash this off with acetone and a microfiber rag, and this will get bagged for shipment to a customer. So thanks everybody for joining us tonight. It's been a fun one for me. I'll catch you in the next episode. Dave Aschenbrenner.